The theme of your conference is 2020, Visions for Learning. All of us here will have them. If I look back on my earlier career, I think of the way we thought we were exciting and even revolutionary thinkers. I think of our talking about schools without walls. And then I remember my time as a review in the Education Review Office. I could sit in teachers' classrooms at the back, and I could see the teacher up the front, maybe using a whiteboard, maybe talking, and in the back you'd have kids looking in wonder at the teacher, but under the desk they'd be doing this with their phones. And for them, the walls are not there now. And we have to take account in this vision for 2020 of where our young people are. Don't fight it. How do you use it? How do you engage it? In education, we have always lived with change, but the current drivers are more demanding of us because change happens more quickly. We're always in education in the white water. We can ask of ourselves why change. We can talk about what change, but it isn't actually an option. In New Zealand today, we're living in a time of economic challenge, and we're faced with social and cultural issues that as a country we have not yet managed to address. In education, we're always working where there are stress lines in our society, where the tectonic plates rub up against each other, cause tremor, cause crisis, cause movement. And education has to respond to this. The public expectations of our education system and those who lead it have never been higher. It seems that everyone expects us to have the answers. The system can't do everything, but together we can do some important things, and we can certainly achieve more than we typically think is possible. Hard times actually give us great opportunities. They give us opportunities because we have to make decisions about the most important things that are going on. So one of the challenges we're faced with as we look forward is the fact that for the first time in our society, in our history, the education that's needed to function effectively in labour markets in both high and low skilled jobs looks similar to that needed to participate effectively as citizens, to work through moral dilemmas or to make intelligent purchases of often complex goods and services, to vote for one thing. The educative challenge common to these disparate activities is to prepare individuals for thoughtful choice and judgment. Education must be at the heart of shaping our society for the 21st century. And all of us have responsibilities for that. But what are the hardest challenges we face today? The challenge is not about reform, it's about transforming. And for me, the hardest challenges, and at the heart of my own vision for 2020, are those issues to do with equity. Those shadows are still in our society and in our education system. So my vision for 2020 is of a system that is truly equitable. We have a world-leading education system for 4 out of 5 of our children. In my vision, we have made it 5 out of 5. And the groups disproportionately represented in the 1 in 5 are Māori, Pasifika, and young people with special education needs. The world in which we deliver education is changing on a daily basis, and our success in the future will depend not just on what young people have learned, but on their ability to go on learning. At the heart of my vision for 2020 is what we have in New Zealand already, and that's a determined and dedicated teaching profession. There is no profession for which I have a higher regard than that of teaching. And delivery of our vision will happen with teachers in classrooms with our children, with teachers in other parts of our society with children. But the children and young people in our schools today will all be living in a different world from the one we are in now. To be successful, they will have to be bold and curious, cooperative and collaborative, resilient and creative. Knowledge is expanding at a breathtaking pace. It is estimated that in the 4 years from 1999 to 2002, the amount of new information produced approximately equalled the amount produced in the entire history of the world up to that time. As a consequence, effective education can no longer be focused just on the transmission of pieces of information that, once memorized, constitute a stable storehouse of knowledge. The phenomenon of globalization is enriching us with greater knowledge of the world and our place in it, but it is also challenging us in ways we have not experienced before. In this brave new world, we must acknowledge that many of the things we learned yesterday may no longer be relevant tomorrow. We must help our students learn how to learn in powerful ways so that as adults they can manage the demands of changing information, technology, work and social conditions. We must look for new ways to prepare for the future. The American social commentator Eric Hoffer wrote, "In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists." At the heart of our delivery for 2020 is the New Zealand curriculum. Internationally, as well as in New Zealand, we're seeing growth in a demand for expert thinking, but it's the thinking that's there. This is probably part of the new literacy of the 21st century, where people need to be able to solve new problems for which there are no routine solutions. We need to be highly literate in new ways, a literacy that can critically read issues, symbols, markets, trends. And we have a curriculum that gives us a framework and the freedom to deliver this. There are a whole lot of things about our curriculum that are new, that make it world-leading, that make it admired by countries in all of the OECD countries. There are the fact that we focus not just on the what you learn, but the how of learning. And the New Zealand curriculum's vision is of young people who are confident, connected, actively involved, lifelong learners who contribute to the well-being of those around them, to their whānau, and to New Zealand as a whole. What the national curriculum does is to give schools the scope, the flexibility, the independence and the authority to design their own curricula and to involve their communities, their whānau, their families in doing that. And so to secure the identity and the sense of belonging that is important to the community around every school. And to deliver on all of this for 2020, all of us involved, I think, need to be successful leaders of change and improvement. We need the humility to be good students and the capability to be good teachers. And we have to know how to switch between these roles. So, what will the change, what will the vision for 2020 give us? Catherine Mansfield once wrote in her journal, risk anything. Do the hardest thing on earth for you to do. Act for yourself. Face the truth. In 2020, my vision, education success will mean that we will be able to give all young New Zealanders one of the greatest gifts of all, an education that deepens our humanity as individuals and as a society, and develops our capacity to learn, to reason and to imagine. It will make it possible for every student to explore the world and their lives thoughtfully, successfully and ethically, to have the courage to seek what is right and true, to have the confidence to take on the most difficult questions and problems and to offer responsible, principled and creative answers. Such learning is the right of all our students, now and for the future.